We're told that testing is the key to everything, but let's talk about that. What's the false positive or negative rate in the testing as of right now? And when you go for the antibody testing, same question.
So lots there, Brian. Let me try to parse it out. When it comes to the swab test, it's a PCR test. It says, is there active infection? Can you detect the COVID-19 virus in your nose, for example, in your saliva? We're worried now. I was just actually in the hospital last night in the ICU on a shift, and I had a patient that we tested that was negative and then positive, and then negative and then positive. And this is with the nasal test. And so there are concerns. The Abbott ID Now test that President Trump trumpeted with such fanfare about a month ago as our panacea for testing. We're worried now that maybe the sensitivity of that test, the false negative rate of that test, so that it gives a negative result, but you actually have the infection. We think maybe now it's around 80%. So there are challenges here because testing is tough. Testing development is tough. The antibody test, lots of problems, even more problems than the whether or not you have the actual infection with a swab. The antibody test has tons of problems. We think it's giving false positive. So you have a positive test, but you actually don't have an antibody. That's a false positive. That is the main challenge with a lot of the tests that are online right now. The studies that Stanford and other scientists have produced that have had these high prevalence rates of COVID-19 infection because people have these antibodies. We're worried that those tests are fundamentally flawed. So there's a lot of quality issues that we're trying to iterate on now.
I was reminded this week, mumps took 4 years. How high are your hopes that by Christmas time or New Year's, we're going to be talking about hundreds of millions of doses?
Brian, I'm hopeful Dr. Fauci's right. I bet Dr. Fauci is hopeful that he's right. We're all hopeful. Having said that, it took 30 years to develop the vaccine varicella that protects us against chickenpox. There's a lot. Vaccine development is complicated. There's a lot of phases, as you mentioned earlier. So I don't think we can build a strategy now thinking we're going to have a magic bullet in the future in 6 months. We have to focus on the here and the now. If there's a therapeutic like remdesivir, there's a vaccine that Dr. Fauci is referencing, fantastic. But that cannot impact our short-term thinking, which is social distancing. Even if we start opening things up, some governors are, masks. We need to think about a proactive, top-of-mind infection control at the top of mind, even as we normalize things.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.